War Sovereign Soaring the Heavens, Chapter 799. Never had Fenway imaged that his martial uncle would actually take out the 8th level fire concept fragment he'd kept for a long time for the sake of killing Duan Ling Tian. At this moment, Fenway deeply felt his martial uncle's hatred towards Duan Ling Tian, and it was hatred that came from within the bones. "Don't worry, martial uncle, I'll tell Yang." Fenway's gaze flashed, and he felt happy in his heart for the personal disciple he'd just taken. After all, an 8th level fire concept fragment wasn't so commonly seen. An 8th level fire concept fragment came from a void transformation stage expert that had comprehended 8th level advanced fire concept, and a void transformation stage expert like this was usually in existence at the 7th level of the void transformation stage or above. If one wanted to obtain an 8th level fire concept fragment, then one had to either wait for an existence like this to die from the depletion of lifespan, or kill an existence like this. Thus, it was obvious how difficult to come by an 8th level fire concept fragment was. In next to no time, Fenway had returned to the courtyard he lived in, and the personal disciple he'd just taken was arranged to stay within a room in this courtyard. "Young!" Fenway cried out as soon as he entered. "Master!" There was a total of 3 rooms in the courtyard, and a person walked out from the leftmost room before looking at Fenway with respect and reverence. It was the Darming dynasty's crown prince, Liu Yang. Even though Liu Yang was a supreme crown prince in the Darming dynasty, yet this place was the Skywolf Fort, and it was a formidable power of the foreign lands that could annihilate the Darming dynasty by casually sending out an elder with deep cultivation. He didn't dare put on any airs before a power of the foreign lands like this. "Ha ha! Yang, come, master has something to tell you." Fenway called Liu Yang over before going straight to the point. "You ought to have seen how Duan Ling Tian treated your martial ancestor, right?" "Yes." Liu Yang nodded, and he couldn't help but feel slightly afraid when he recalled the scene he saw in the outer fort not too long ago. Even though he didn't hope for Duan Ling Tian to take that martial ancestor as master, because once Duan Ling Tian took Ningqian as master, he would be inferior by Duan Ling Tian in seniority for his entire lifetime and had to call Duan Ling Tian martial uncle. But never had he imagined that Duan Ling Tian would actually be so audacious, and not only had Duan Ling Tian directly refused his martial ancestor, Duan Ling Tian's words didn't leave any room for discussion. "Master, what do you want to tell me?" Liu Yang asked curiously. Fenway didn't beat around the bush and directly spoke of what Ningqian had told him. "So long as you're able to kill Duan Ling Tian during the martial competition of the 10 dynasties this time, your martial ancestor will give you an 8th level fire concept fragment." 8th level fire concept fragment. Liu Yang gasped as greed instantly suffused his eyes. However, this greed quickly vanished and a wisp of a bitter smile suffused his face. Fenway had noticed the changes in Liu Yang's expression from the beginning until the end, and he couldn't help but be stunned when he saw Liu Yang reveal a bitter smile. "Master!" Liu Yang sighed. "Actually, I was almost able to kill that Duan Ling Tian during the time we were within the illusory purgatory. But unfortunately, right when he was about to die at my hand, the illusory purgatory sent us out. His luck is so good." The corners of Fenway's mouth twitched, and he felt disbelief towards Duan Ling Tian's luck, then said, "Don't worry, there'll still be a chance later on." "Later on?" Liu Yang shook his head. "Master, there's something you don't know. Duan Ling Tian isn't a simple figure. I heard from Zi Shang that came from the Darkhan dynasty just like Duan Ling Tian." Subsequently, Liu Yang spoke of everything Zi Shang had told him about Duan Ling Tian's illusory realm soul skill. Illusory realm soul skill? Soul skill. Feng Wei's pupils constricted, and he revealed an astonished expression. Are you sure it's a soul skill? Besides variants and demon beasts that possess extraordinary natural talent, how can a human martial artist possibly execute a spiritual force technique similar to soul skills without becoming a martial emperor? Impossible. It's absolutely impossible. As the vice fort master of Skywolf Fort, Feng Wei understood soul skills extremely well, and he knew that it was an ability of variants and demon beasts that possessed extraordinary natural talent. Even though human martial artists were also capable of utilizing spiritual force techniques similar to soul skills, yet they had to break through to the martial emperor stage before being capable of utilizing it. When I heard Zi Shang speak of this matter, it didn't seem to be fake. Lu Yong continued. Even if it was now, when he recalled the strand of black-colored flame brand that appeared between Zi Shang's brows and the strength capable of completely crushing him that suddenly exploded out from Zi Shang, he still couldn't help but feel a slight lingering fear in his heart. At that time, if Zi Shang really wanted to take his life, then he would be dead for sure. So he felt that Zi Shang had utterly no reason to deceive him. This Zi Shan you mentioned is a member of the Darkhan dynasty? You were acquainted with him before this? Feng Wei frowned. I got to know him in the illusory purgatory. Lu Yong laughed bitterly. Illusory purgatory? You didn't kill him. Feng Wei was stunned. Kill him. Lu Yong stared blankly for a moment before laughing bitterly. Master, I wanted to kill him, but the problem is I'm utterly not a match for him. What? You're not a match for him? Feng Wei was shocked slightly. There's someone stronger than you in the Darkhan dynasty. Lu Yong nodded, and then asked. Right, Master, there's something I want to ask you. Do you know why a black-colored flame brand would appear between a person's brows? Moreover, after this black-colored flame brand appeared, the person's strength would instantly rise greatly. Black-colored flame brand. Feng Wei frowned. What's that? Lu Yong continued. Master, Zi Shang was originally only a first-level void interpretation stage martial artist and wasn't a match for me. But when a strand of black-colored flame brand appeared between his brows, he instantly possessed a strength comparable to the 5th level of the void interpretation stage and caused me to be unable to even fight back before him. A first-level void interpretation stage martial artist instantly possessed a strength at the 5th level of the void interpretation stage. A black-colored flame brand appeared between his brows. Feng Wei's frown grew even deeper, and then he guessed. Could it be a secret technique? I don't know. Lu Yong shook his head. Looks like I have to meet Zi Shang. You go call him over, said Feng Wei to Lu Yong. Yes. Lu Yong replied and left. In a restaurant near Skywolf Fort, Du and Ling Tian's group were sitting around a table and enjoying fine wine and good food. After being hungry for an entire day, everyone was immersed in eating and drinking voraciously. Before long, the fine wine and delicacies on the entire table were swept clean. After eating their fill and Du and Ling Tian paying the bill, their group left the inn and soared up into the sky with the intention of returning to Skywolf Fort. Suddenly, Sword 13 and Saber 5's figures stopped moving as they turned around to glance at the side of the restaurant, and when they didn't notice anything unusual, the two of them continued forward. After Du and Ling Tian's group left, an aged figure walked out from the shadows at that place when Saber 5 and Sword 13 glanced at earlier. Du and Ling Tian, you got lucky. I don't believe that Sword 13 will be able to follow by your side at all times. The old man's eyes emitted a gleam of hatred as he gnashed his teeth. The old man was the patriarch of the Dongguo clan, Dongguo Lei. For the sake of finding a chance to kill Duan Ling Tian with a single blow, he'd always been laying in ambush outside the Sky Wolf Fort while waiting for a chance, and even though Duan Ling Tian had finally come out today, he didn't have a way to make a move. The expert of the Blade Sect, Sword 13, had always been following by Duan Ling Tian's side, and he was utterly unable to find a chance to make a move. Could it be Dongguo Lei? Even though the actions of Sword 13 and Saber 5 were brief, yet it was still noticed by Duan Ling Tian, who possessed an extremely great observational ability, and he couldn't help but guess in his heart. Within the ancient desert city, it was undoubtedly the Dongguo clan's patriarch Dongguo Lei that would want to take his life, whereas, now that he suspected someone was observing them from the shadows, he guessed that the person was most probably Dongguo Lei. It's easy to dodge a strike in the open, yet an arrow from the shadows is difficult to avoid. Dongguo Lei will eventually become a great trouble if he isn't killed. Duan Ling Tian pondered in his heart on the way back. But, Dongguo Lei was a 6th level void transformation stage martial artist after all, and there was only one way he could take to kill Dongguo Lei, and that path was to utilize the talisman his father had left behind for him. However, only 2 of those talismans remained, and if it wasn't a necessity, he was really unwilling to utilize them. Never mind. I won't take the initiative to go against him. But if he really comes looking for me, then even if I have to utilize a talisman, I'll still kill him to get rid of any future troubles. Duan Ling Tian resolved in his heart. Isn't that Lu Yong? Suddenly, Zhang Xiaoyang's voice entered into Duan Ling Tian's ears, and it caused Duan Ling Tian to be unable to help but look along his gaze, and Duan Ling Tian noticed that Lu Yong was heading towards a pavilion. Isn't that the pavilion Zai Shang resides in? Feng Tianwu's beautiful brows slightly knit together. After a short moment, Duan Ling Tian's group saw that after Lu Yong stood in the sky outside a pavilion for a short moment, a figure shot out from within the pavilion and converged with Lu Yong. Zai Shang. Duan Ling Tian's brows raised as extremely cold lights flickered within his eyes. If this wasn't the Sky Wolf Fort and attacking others was prohibited strictly, otherwise, he'd wish for nothing more than to charge up and directly kill Zai Shang now. Lu Yong brought Zai Shang to the inner fort. What do they want to do? Zhang Xiaoyang frowned when he saw Lu Yong and Zai Shang swiftly entering the inner fort, and he spoke with a slightly worried tone. As far as he was concerned, nothing good would come from these 2 fellows being together. Lu Yong, do you know why Vice Fort Master Feng is looking for me? Zai Shang asked Lu Yong after they entered the inner fort. It's mainly for the sake of asking you about Duan Ling Tian's illusory realm martial skill. My martial ancestor wants me to kill Duan Ling Tian during the later selections of the martial competition, and he didn't spare to give out an 8th level fire concept fragment for this, said Lu Yong. 8th level fire concept fragment. Zai Shang's gaze lit up brightly and a sheen of greed flickered faintly within his eyes, yet it quickly died down. What a pity. Zai Shang, actually, there's always been something that I've been curious about. Exactly what is Duan Ling Tian using to counter you? After all, you're completely capable of instantly killing him with the strength you possess after the flame brand appears between your brows. Lu Yong had always been puzzled by this, and he was always unable to wrap his head around it. I hope you enjoy the video. Don't forget like, share, subscribe to channels.